Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Apesy Games taking a look at Retro Bits Tribute N64 or Tribute 64 controller. And we're going to see if this controller is better than this. Let's go. So guys, just to let you know, you can buy this on Amazon. At the moment it's currently pricing at 34.76 euros, which again isn't bad. It's a quite decent price. I was looking for alternate controllers for the Nintendo 64. And this came in bang for your buck, really. I did a bit of research and a lot of people recommended this. So let's check it out. Let's quickly take a minute to unbox this. So let's try and assess how the controller feels first. So pressing and depressing the buttons feels great. Very responsive. The analog as well. Very free moving, as you can see here. And the analog essentially replaces the stick. Now the D-pad feels nice, but bear in mind it's actually in a different position than it is on the original controller. I have to say the controller is quite light. It's lighter than the original too. What I'll also do is just to show you the original controller and then kind of compare in particularly the stick. Now my stick is in pretty decent condition, but it does feel like the analog is going to be much easier to use than the stick. But let's test this out. Now the button positions, as you can see, it's smaller and the B and A are much closer and the D-pad is actually down here. So I'm not actually sure how that's going to work for general play. But let's just see and test it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out with a first-person shooter game, and we'll also test it out with Star Fox. So maybe we just keep it simple, GoldenEye and Star Fox. I suppose they will introduce kind of variances in gameplay and how the game is controlled. So let's go and do that now. Okay, I'm going to try and move the camera as close as I can to the controller so that you can see me using it as I'm playing. Should help, I hope. Okay, let me see if I can actually suss out the controls. Right, so I'm using the A button to use my primary fire, which actually works quite well. The analog is very smooth, I got to say. Let me see now if I can get used to the other controls. So the two shoulder buttons are allowing me to spin left and right. You know, I gotta say, it's much smoother. Responsiveness as well in regards to the movement and the analog in general. Definitely comfortable. Comfortable for this game specifically. But again, I think with this controller, what you're going to find is it's going to depend on the game. Because it's now kind of analog based, there's not that clicky feeling that you get from maybe using the standard stick on the N64 controller, if that makes sense.
You've got an enemy on your tail. Use the brake.
So let me just see. Oh, there's okay. So even by seeing where the yellow buttons are, they're actually quite closer to you, and in effect, actually works better because they are closer to you. So everything is like in reach with. Close reach of my thumbs, which is ideal. And I always found with the N64 controller by standard is sometimes you have to position your hand in different areas, whereas I can easily just grip it with my two hands here like this, and I don't have to kind of do some obscure way of holding the N64 controller, which I found kind of niggly after a while, especially during long play sessions, if that makes sense. Somersault? There we go. Okay, it's easy as well to pull off those maneuvers, which is quite good.
Enemy robot, dead ahead.
And as I said, spinning left, spinning right is used now with those top two buttons on the controller. So I gotta say, really comfortable play so thus far. And as I said, that analog stick is nice and free moving. Quite responsive and comfortable, and my fingers aren't getting sticky, if that makes sense. Okay, so that was a quick look at Lilac Wars. Let's move on to the other game, GoldenEye, a first-person shooter, and let's see how that plays. Now, this is going to be an interesting test because this is a first-person shooter. Now, I found GoldenEye's controls at times hard to go back to, especially for the N64. Still playable, but I'm just wondering what difference this is going to make to the actual game itself. Okay, so Forward, back, left, right is with this analog, okay? Now what's the D-pad? It's up and down. So sorry, strafing left and right using these buttons. Again, I gotta say, it's much more comfortable. And I'm actually shooting with the trigger at the top right hand side of top right of the screen. I'm actually using the trigger to fire, so it's kind of playing a little bit more similar to what you would get with maybe a common first-person shooter on a standard controller. Maybe close, not 100% there, but definitely better, I gotta say. Now again, bear in mind these are the default controls. It seems to be I can use the D-pad as well, but I wouldn't want to be using that. Let me just see if I can switch weapons. So that's to aim. That button there is to aim. Okay. What's the switch weapons again? Okay, A. Alright, it's again taking a little time to get used to, but let's just move forward real quick. But I suppose, as I said already, definitely much easier to navigate once the buttons are closer to your hands. And as I said, you're not moving your hands in some obscure way. Yeah, the only thing I gotta say there now is, yeah, the analog is a little bit sensitive. Okay, so guys, in conclusion, this is a great controller considering the price and definitely an improvement on the original controller. Now, playing first-person shooters might take a little bit getting used to because the analog is quite sensitive, but overall I had a great experience with this controller and it definitely enhances the experience. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.